Okay, we are live and welcome everybody. So wonderful to see every one of you guys. Hi, Terry. I'm actually heading to Vancouver tomorrow, so I'm very exciting. Okay, so let's just get started. So I don't know if you got the email, so you joined here, or where are you coming from, but I'm going to paint this scenery right here. The photo is actually capturing from Google Street View. So before I start, I think I just want to just talk about my source a little bit. So thanks to Google, I get to capture this image right here. Okay, so I think what's very important is that this is a very useful thing. It's very useful interface right here. You get to basically travel the world into some of the most popular landmark and places, and you get to just travel there and see all the little things that's happening there, which is wonderful. This image particularly is taken, it says here, August 2013. So it's a few years old, but I'm pretty sure it still look pretty similar today. Okay, so this specific area, sorry, took a sip of water. So this specific area just kind of caught my eyes mostly because of this building. But as you can see, Google Street View is taken from a very wide angle lens. So whenever you go to Google Street View, like now it's taken from on this boat right here. So they probably have like equipment here and they take the surrounding, like a 360 photo. So whenever you use a Google Street View, it's very important thing that you zoom it in like this. Okay, this is a little bit more accurate to what we see with our own eyes. Our field of view is definitely not this wide. So if you just go straight from what you see in a Google image, this area where it's supposed to be the very important part of the painting is gonna shrunk down a lot. So zoom it in a little bit. So now if you look at this photo again, okay, like the perspective and everything looks just a lot more correct. Okay, actually our field of view is probably something like this. This is still pretty wide, a little bit wider. I think beyond this building, things starting to get kind of distorted. I think like this boat right here, and you know, because this boat is supposed to view in this angle, right? So when we turn like this, it starts to become very extreme. It should be out of our cone of vision. So definitely when you are checking the image on Google Street View, definitely zoom in 1 or 2 level so you can see a little bit non-distorted view here. Okay, so just use the scroll button and things like that. Or you can just, like, there's a plus and minus sign here. So anyways, let's just get started. Let's switch back. So I took that image and I kind of crop a little bit. Now I include a little bit more than what I do want to paint because I do like the boat in the right hand side corner. And I think that's a very good thing for leading people's eyes in. And actually I'm going to switch it back a little bit. Now if you look at this, I will probably use the boat right here. It's not very clear, but I'll probably use a little bit and see if I might paint a few more here or maybe somewhere on the side here, so it's not so empty, like just a huge body of water. Okay, so enough talk, let's get started. All right, see a couple people. Again, hi Terry, hi Holly, Miss Nsefo, And hi Chrissy, as always, thank you guys for coming. Okay, let's just get started. Okay, 12 by 16 paper, my usual go-to size paper, and my camera usually have this tendency to kind of pop the focus in and out. So I try to set the focus around here. So anytime if the focus is jumping up a little bit too much, let me know. I will try to fix that as much as I can. Okay. All right, so let's just get started. Let's look at the image that we have. And I think before anything, we'll just take a look at the reference and we'll just start to block things out. So, well, I think the most important shape in this painting right here, and let me see. Okay, just turn on a little bit background music so it's just not my voice. So the most important shape is definitely the dome in the background. That's the most important shape right here. So I'm just gonna draw that in very quickly. I'm drawing very light because I'm not ready to commit anything just yet. So I just wanna, this big shape right here, maybe that'll be our background, and that leads to the buildings in the foreground here. There's also a little bit of tower here. I might include that. Okay, so when you draw, don't lift your pencil. Okay, I say that a lot of times because it's a good habit to adapt so you don't lose a train of thought, but at the same time, when you're starting to paint, you are not going to dab a lot. So I'm going to move the boat, the blue boat in the bottom right. I move it a little bit more towards here. Okay, so you probably just see my hand kind of moving around and you don't see a lot of pencil line. That is because the pencil line is very, very light right now. Okay, so there's some buildings on the back here and there's some distant boat. And there's another building starting to go on the other side. I'm not sure I'm going to include them. I might just paint the shape and that's it. Okay, we got some cloud here, but I'm not gonna draw that. I'm actually thinking to draw. There's some nice cloud in the photo. It's a little bit overexposed because they are exposed to the building. So yeah, so let's just not care about the cloud for now. Now I make this dome a little bit bigger than on the photo. Just want to exaggerate it a little bit, but I think that might be a little bit too big, so I'm gonna shrink it down just a little bit. Okay. Vancouver will be raining. Well, yeah, it'll be the same if I just stay in Seattle, so. Okay. I hope it will be a fantastic painting. Again, like always, I never know how it's gonna turn out, so I just kind of hope for the best. So it's an incredibly complicated painting if you look into the detail of all the things in the background. So our job is to really simplify it and just capture the essence of the place. Unfortunately, I've never been to Venice myself. Like I have a student, once they got the emails, I'm gonna do a live stream today, public live stream today, going to do a Venice painting, and she immediately sent me a bunch of photos from when she lives there. I think it's around 1980 something, and those photos are just absolutely gorgeous. They all even have those like photo grain because they are authentically old photos by film, I assume, like 1983. There's no digital camera yet. And I think it's a very funny thing because when digital camera came out, everybody's impressed by how clean it looks. And at some point, like, we are all about cleanness, like the whole photo need to look super clean, noise free, and things like that. And now we're going back to embrace, and we actually fake film grain and things like that with, you know, software like Instagram, Lightroom, and things like that. It's just really funny how, you know, how we as human kind of just evolve and starting to embrace some old stuff again. So while digital painting with Photoshop, Painter, and entertainment stuff, which is something that I am doing during my day job, while it is very huge, I do believe that traditional painting like this will always hold its place because people want that authentic look and feel and want something tangible. It's like I have a couple friends that's starting to listen to like vinyl record again. Alright, sidetracked enough, let's come back to it. So I am starting to paint, I'm starting to draw a little bit darker because I think I am ready to commit to it. So I think it's good time to kind of figure out the perspective. I will say, because again, the canal is kind of curved like this, so I'm just gonna need to roughly figure out the vanishing point. I'll just say around here for this building and this building. Okay, so I don't know if the microphone captures it, but it's starting to rain right now. Very typical Seattle weather. Okay, so most of this is dark. In the photo, you can actually see the sun is right here. It's actually kind of hidden behind the cloud. So it got a very sharp rim light here, and while this building getting a little bit more lit because it's facing a little bit more to the left here. But I am hopefully going to leave a little bit of highlight here in the edge of this building. Okay. So as always, if you have any questions or any thought you want to share, definitely share and put in the live chat. I'll be able to see. Okay. I'm just gonna fake the perspective here. Okay. So this is the part that I'm starting to look at the reference, probably more than ever. Okay. I'm gonna look at the reference the most here during the drawing phase in the entire painting, because I really want to get the shape right, get things accurate. Okay, so rooftop, something here. There's a, can shade a little bit. I think that's not a problem. Shade. There's some doorways. Okay. Okay, make the dome a little bit bigger so everything else is kind of need to matches that. Okay. So 2 doorway becomes 3. Let me see if I want to change that. Okay, I'll shrink it down just a little bit. Okay, so this painting is going to be mostly pretty loose because we don't have time for a very detailed painting, and that's usually not what my painting is about anyways. Okay, so I will fake the perspective. I'll just say it's the vanishing point somewhere here. So I have one here and have another one here. Okay, but again, these are just the background. Okay, the rest of these buildings, I'm not even going to bother with any sort of detail because they are just really too far. Okay. Okay, and I'll move this here The really big difference that you need to differentiate is the light and the shadow. Okay, things that's facing left is catching the light. Okay, sun is actually about here. And we'll see if we can try to get that kind of nice glowy cloud going on. Okay, there's some little hints of building here, and okay, some hints of boat. They are really far, so they're just mostly going to be shapes and stuff. Okay, now this is the boat that we need to pay a little bit more attention to. Let me see if I want to zoom it in. Okay, so let's see here. Well, let's establish the base of the boat. Let's say about here, and let's just draw a box first. Let's say this boat is going here. That's the vanishing point. Okay, let's just do a box here. Okay, maybe a little bit. Move the vanishing point here. So let's do that. Okay, so let's just do a box. So box in one point, and then we'll start to round it off. Okay, round it off here, and the bow kind of convert into a point here. That'll be the center of the point. So I have this dot kind of just do a curve like that to the back, and it goes up a little bit and goes down, and we don't see this part anymore. It's curving in, but we see the side here, and roughly follow the perspective. Okay, the top is wider than the bottom, so I need to make sure I get that. Okay. So, okay. So, okay, I'm just gonna eyeball this because there's a bunch of stuff on the boat anyways. There's a bunch of boxes, and looks like the mast and the canvas, the claws, and a bunch of stuff here, but that's basically the shape of the boat. And there's like a white stripe here, so try to do that as well. But here we have a nice convincing looking boat here. Okay, a couple of the wooden stick stuff here, that's mostly for the boat to tie themselves up. There's one gangway here, a couple gangways here. Okay, I am not quite sure if I'm gonna do the stripe stick yet. I might, I'm not sure. Okay, so this should, let me see, I think that should be good. Okay, there's some windows here. I'm just gonna indicate that like that. Okay, and some windows here like that. I'm trying to do it as fast as I can, but I can't, I still need to make it look decent. I can't just make it look messy. Okay. I'm checking the perspective. It doesn't need to be super accurate, but it can't be like way off. Okay, there's a bunch of stuff going on here. I'm not going to do too much, but there's like this brick wall here, so probably just a little bit color difference here. And water. Okay, so I am thinking don't know. Let me just see here. Okay. Let me just see if this needs to have something here. Okay. So I think I'll have something here, but not as, but relatively small. So I'm referencing from the stuff in the background. But we have the bow that probably goes into the other direction, so. You dehydrate water and evaporated paint. I actually don't know. But I gotta admit, I think Seattle has a very nice weather for watercolor. Some places the air is so dry and it's always hot, so it can get very difficult to paint watercolor. So I do admit, you know, I'm living in a very good area for watercolor. This is probably the reason why I got into watercolor. It's probably one of the reason I got into watercolor, like when I moved, after I moved here. Okay, let me see what else is there. I think this is it, so maybe we should start, you know. I'm just looking at the painting and see if there's anything else that I need. I actually think that I want to move this a little bit more to the side here. You know what, let me actually search up like a boat very quickly. Okay, so I'm just gonna try to, okay, what I call winging it. Okay, so we have one boat here. I want something kind of off the frame. I don't want it to be really distracting. I just kind of need something here to offset all that busyness here. And it doesn't need to be something very big, so. Okay, so yeah, I can have one boat here. Maybe with something on the top and yeah, something like that. I'll figure out how do I do those later when I'm paint. I'm just gonna trust that it'll come to me. Okay, let's get started. $9.25. We already spent half an hour trying to deal with this. Okay, so let's start by doing some cloud. Good morning from Denmark. Hi there, Nina. Okay, so Let me see. Okay. I'm gonna try to use like a squirrel brush, but this brush is really hard. I haven't been using it for a very long time. Let me actually see if they'll still work. Okay, I think this brush is basically gone. I'll use this one. Okay, I think this is good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to do cloud. 6:26 in Germany. Well, thanks for waking up early for this. Hi, Neil. Okay, so I am... No, I think before I start, let me clean up some of this line where it's getting a little bit too dirty here. Too much line going on. Sorry for a little bit of delay here. Okay. And this guy too. Okay. All right, let's see if we can pull it off that, nice puffy cloud. So what I'm gonna do, I'll try to keep it loose, but let me pick up a little bit of dirty color here just so that I can see where did I wet. I'll keep it mostly loose, but this time I kind of purposefully leave a little bit white here. Okay, and just going across like that. Paint over the building, that's fine, it's okay. And a little bit cloud here, and let me see. So mostly wet the top, and we'll leave some shape down here. Again, a little bit of shape here. We can connect a little bit of wetness here. Okay. Let's re-wet my paint. Spraying the water a little bit. So let me grab my cobalt blue. So we do want a blue sky, white cloud type of sky, but we don't want it to make it too prominent. So if you pre-wet the area, is a good way to not keeping it from being too opaque. Okay, so I'll try to paint around the building here, but I'm not gonna stress too much on it. So here. So where I kind of dropped the paint in, we got some soft edge, we got some hard edge, and which is great. Okay, this bead is a little bit too big. Let me take that away here. And, yeah. I'm gonna add just a little bit more blue while it is still wet. Okay, a little bit in here, a little bit here. Okay, bring that in a little bit. Let me see here. All right, so again, a little bit dirty water. I'm gonna wet some of the areas. So I want to keep this edge a little bit hard, so I'm not going to break that edge, But some areas I can kind of have some break. I can connect some of this, let the paint flow, that's fine, but mostly wet this area. And so this area is nice and wet. Okay, let me take a smaller brush. What we're gonna do now is to make some nice neutral, a little bit more to the cooler side gray. I'm gonna actually add a little bit of alizarin crimson, a little bit cobalt blue, and let's see, and let's get those cloud shadow in. Well, it's not cloud shadow, it's just the cloud that is some area of the cloud that are thicker, so the light is not penetrating through. Okay, so a little bit here. Okay, I need to remind myself not to overdo it. This is a background. Okay. If I don't start overdo it, I'm gonna ruin the scene. Okay, just water. I do want to soften some of these, and let me add just a little bit more here. That rim light is a little bit too big. Okay, I got some clean damp brush, and I'm gonna soften some of this. Okay, a little bit of blue come back in, and I think I'm just gonna leave it. Okay. Well, thanks for dropping by. Okay, good morning from Italy. You're probably very familiar with this thing. And Bruno, hello from Germany. Excellent. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it. It's probably gonna be lightened up a little bit, which is great. I actually don't want it to be too dark. Okay, so the rest of it just clean water and soften it, and we'll be fine. Now, it's a nice bright sun, so some of the area I'm gonna keep it. We're just gonna keep it mostly nice and transparent. I will start to give it a little bit of warmth as we come down here. Okay, just a little bit, and as we come down to the water here, I'm going to skip around a little bit, and a little bit hints of highlight and so on. Very nice and loose, but we do have a nice gradation going on from light to a little bit of tone, a little bit of warmth here. So I think that's good. Sorry, I'm hitting the microphone stand. Okay. Hola. 53 people. Wow, that's amazing. I think I broke the record. Thank you guys all for joining me. This is wonderful. It's a great Thanksgiving gift for me. And yeah, I think it's actually a good time to talk about my plan for the holiday. So I'm going to do I'm gonna put up my painting for sale as always, but because what happened recently in California, there's a horrible wildfire that's basically ravaged a town called Paradise, which is kind of ironic that happens in Paradise. A lot of people lost their homes, so I'm thinking to probably donate 50% of all the profit that I get from painting and commission and everything to the fire relief. So from today to December 14th, I'm actually gonna make a separate video about this. If any of you guys buy any painting from me, I will donate 50%, 50% of the profit to the forest fire relief, the wildfires, not forest fire. There's no forest in California, not as much as we think. So yeah, just a little update on what I've been going through my mind, because I imagine the people throughout the holiday season. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving for us, but also a couple weeks later will be Christmas. Imagine there's no home to go back to. That's very, very heartbreaking, and I think I just want to do a little bit of help. So if you are interested this holiday to get like a gift for family or just yourself, if you want to get an original painting, you can consider joining me on this. Okay, so a little bit darker, a little bit warmer. We got a little bit more turquoise color here underneath. Got a nice gradation going on. Okay, and here comes the tricky part. I always mess this part up, but I'm gonna try it anyways. Just to have a nice opaque mixture, nice thick dry mixture. Just gonna do it relatively fast. Okay, I think that's enough paint. I hope those will work. And then start to add some nice big kind of wave going on. Okay, don't have to do a lot of that, but definitely need to be enough to kind of see some, because I'm gonna do some hard reflection again, but as we do this, we'll start to give the water surface a little bit of the ripple going on. Okay, so this painting, I'm not gonna copy all the things that I see in the photo because the water is very, very still. It's captured by a camera, so everything is pretty much still. So if I just copy everything that I see from the camera, the painting is going to look very still and very stiff. And I want to give it a little bit sense of movement here. So this is this part. This is a tricky part. Your mixture needs to be just right. Okay, if you make it too wet, it's gonna spread out in a very horrible way. Okay, so it needs to be dry enough, and I think this is at a good place. I'm not going to touch it anymore. Okay. Hi, Frederick. Hi from Virginia. Okay, so let's zoom it out a little bit, see how we doing. Well, the cloud shapes are kind of nice. Some nice puffy cloud going on. So the sun is actually here. Okay, so what happened is the sun is probably somewhere here. It's really bright. So where the clouds are thinner, it absorbs the light. That's why the cloud getting so wide and so bright. But this part, the cloud is a little bit dense. It's a little bit more, it's a little bit thicker, so it doesn't penetrate through as much. So it starts to have a little bit of the shadow here. So that's something what we're trying to achieve here. I actually don't like this Y shape quite much. It starts to bugs me. Don't know what to do with it. Just leave it. Best to just leave it instead of messing around. Okay, let's start to do our most important part of the background, which is this dome. Okay. 60 people here watching. Wonderful, just wonderful. Thank you guys. Thank you again. Okay, so I actually like this color. I'm just making it. I just need to make it a little bit cooler. I think I'm just gonna grab some dirty color here. Just gonna grab that, and I think that will be a nice color for the background. Okay. Okay, let's. Okay. Very delicately. Let's just. There's like a cross on top. So, boom. Boom, boom. Okay, we do want to leave a little bit of the light on the right. See, they got like a nice rim light going on. Okay, so okay, so this thing is casting a shadow onto the dome. Now, I'm just going to connect that shadow and just give the dome shape. Okay, I think that's a little bit too dark, so I'm just gonna add some water to let it flow a little bit better. And okay, nice clean wash. Okay, you don't want to start to do this. Okay, please don't do that. Okay, and now I'm gonna use a little bit of clean water, damp clean brush. I'm gonna soften this edge right here. We want a nice transition from light to dark. Okay, so this edge is softened, all of a sudden you see the roundness, and there's a little bit of rust warmth going on. So while it is wet, I'm just going to get that in here. So a little bit of warmth here, there. Okay, so I want to leave a little bit of highlight here, and the rest of it, let it drop down. Okay, I'm gonna try and see a little bit hotter here. Boom, boom, bang, bang. Okay. You're the second person ever said that. Well, thank you. I take that as a compliment. I don't consider myself have a sexy voice, but thanks. Okay. I'm blushing if you cannot see, so which is good. Okay, I'm a very shy person. If you ever see me in person, I'm not gonna talk much. So I think every start doing YouTube video, I start to kind of accept my own voice a little bit better. Okay, so let's continue this dome. So very, very important thing is that we want to keep this a one nice big shape. Okay, so a little bit of highlight and stuff here and there, but let's keep it mostly in one shape. And I definitely don't want to mess with this now. This is at a very good place, okay, and you really don't want to mess with this anymore. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is, we all got this nice warm rooftop that the Venice is known for, so I'm just going to paint the rooftop here. Did you take workshop with Zbukvic? Yes, I took a book workshop with him probably, it's probably 3 years ago now. And one of the best workshop I've ever been to, because it's the only workshop I've ever been to. I came across his work before I start to learn watercolor, and I can pretty much tell you he's probably the reason I got into it, because my day job is a video game artist. So I am a full-time artist, but I haven't been doing watercolor full-time. And I think when you look at digital work so much, you're starting to appreciate the authenticity, the look of the traditional painting. So I came across his work. Actually, one of my artist friends shared his work on Facebook, and I see it, and I just kind of blown away by it. It's just like, it looks so nice. It's so wonderful. I love it. So it really piqued my interest of watercolor, because before I didn't know watercolor can be so realistic. And by realistic, I mean it captured the atmosphere so well. So it's just so wonderful. So yeah, so I started getting to his work, and that's how I started to notice his work, and I start to look for his workshop and stuff. So I was lucky enough to get into one of his workshop in California. So I flew there. It was like 3 years ago. I flew there. My wife let me go there, and back in the days we only have 2 kids, so she took care of 2 kids for about 3-4 days while I went to learn watercolor. So huge part, I have to thank her for supporting me on this. But yeah, I did take a workshop with him. I consider him my mentor. Although if you ask him, I don't know if he's gonna remember me, or if he consider me his student. I took a workshop with him once. But wonderful person, just a wonderful person, and I really enjoy his workshop. I learned so much there. Yeah, I mean he go to Europe for workshop every year, right? I think Spain, Girona is definitely his usual. He go there like every year. So always have a lookout on that. I took his workshop once, and to me, I get the most out of it already. Not that I'm already that good, but I think the rest of it is just for me. It's up to me to put into the mileage and really learn and practice the art myself. So, and one thing that's very, very important that I mentioned it quite a few times in my class is that a solid fundamental is very, very important. Because my background as an artist, things like perspective, lighting, and composition, I have a pretty good, previous education on that. So when I go to his workshop, I can just focusing on his painting technique and the way he approaches the painting, and get a lot out of this. But if you know, like, I'm not bashing anyone, but if you know you have problem with perspective, if you have problem with drawing and things like that, that's the first thing that you should be working on, instead of worry about all the watercolor technique and stuff, like what paint to use. I mean, you should using good quality paint and stuff, but what's really important is really just to learn the fundamental, the perspective 1 point, 2 point, the lighting, how the lighting works. Those are the very, very important things. Okay. Thank you, beautiful glowing buildings. Yeah, I try to keep some sense of light and color there, because a lot of the color here is because all the orange things around it. So it's bouncing a lot of lights around the area. And even it's all in the shadow, you still receive a lot of ambient light. The ambient lights are from the sky. Sky color is blue, so you get a lot of blue shades in the shadow as well. So I am relatively pretty hold back on using colors because I don't want it to make the painting very like oversaturated. Some artists like to use very saturated color everywhere. I mean, which is fine. I think it's just a personal preference. Okay. There's no painting without good drawing. That's very, very true. That's very, very true. Yeah, I think people, I think a lot of people kind of how should I say, they just kind of discard the idea that you do need to spend quite a bit of time to get good with drawing to make a good painting. And I'm not saying everyone needs to do that. If you're into abstract painting and different stuff, that's totally fine. But I think if you want to paint something kind of believable and sorry, I'm trying to paint at the same time, so I need to take a little bit of pause here because this is starting to become a little bit more difficult. Okay, so yeah, if you want to paint believable painting, I think a good drawing is definitely needed because it shows your knowledge, how well you know the environment around you, how well you know the world, how well do you know how the lighting and the things works. Move out a little bit. So the building in the way back, while keeping it loose and keeping it simple as well. Okay, a little bit cooler is way in the atmosphere, so I'm going to leave some incidental highlights and stuff to hint some detail. Okay. Okay, so this building right here, I'm just gonna do a really quick iteration on it. Okay, so it's still quite in the distance. It's just that it's in the shadow. It's completely back facing the light. So it's going to. Okay. This is a part where your brushstroke, your brushwork, plays important rules in the painting. Now, I do a lot of short stroke. That doesn't mean I'm dabbing like this. Okay, each brushstroke, try to have it mean something. Okay, so I'm gonna move this boat up just a little bit. Sorry, Valkyria, I don't really understand what you're saying. If somebody can translate, that would be great, but I don't know, is that Spanish or... Sorry, I don't read your language. I want to understand what you're talking about, but I can't. Okay, let's switch to a smaller brush. I've been using my number 12 brush to do all of this. I think time to use a slightly smaller brush. Okay. I see a little bit of red there, so I'm just gonna put something there. Like seriously, this is just hints of detail. That looks like boat to me, so I think that's good enough. Okay, these are all suggestions. Visual language, leave everything. Just leave everything as a suggestion. Leave everything kind of expressionless. Okay. Now I think coming down here, warmer and definitely darker. Okay, not too dark though, it's still in the distance. Okay. Well, if anybody can translate what you're talking about, that would be great. If anybody in the chat, you can read Spanish or whatever language that he or she is talking about, do let me know. Okay, so a little bit darker down here. How long have you been painting? Good question. For if you're strictly talking about watercolor, I will say 4 years now. But again, I need to clarify, before watercolor, I paint with other mediums like Oreos, acrylic, and for a very long time, and still do now, I'm painting digital. Digital means Photoshop and things like that. So this is kind of damp, so I think a nice dry mixture can give the subtle details here. Okay, one here and one here. Okay. So this is kind of damp right now. It's not that wet anymore. So if I use a nice and wet, if I use a nice and dry mixture, it will give a nice soft shape, but the shape will still hold in its place. And I think that's a very important way to give it some nice soft detail like that, like this. Okay. Okay, this is a little bit too wet, so I add a little bit more paint to make it drier. Okay, something here, I'm just gonna paint that in. Okay, that's fine. That's fine, Bruno. Thanks for trying. Okay. Okay. Move out. Okay, I think it's looking pretty decent right now. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. So I'm gonna try to continue this down and go over to the buildings on the right. So let's again warmer and darker under here. So And because the street is kind of curved, so you're starting to see the gangway kind of coming down like this. So as we come down, you start to see a little bit more gangway, things like that. That's starting to come down here. Okay, this kind of blend into the background here. I think this is fine. I'm just gonna let it do a thing. Okay, so bunch of gangways here, and we'll do the boat just a little bit later. I do want to finish the building first. Bang, bang. A little bit hints of detail here and there. I'm gonna give a little bit of detail under a little bit of shadow underneath the roof here, I think, just to kind of give a little bit more separations. Yeah, I want to darken this just a little bit. Some really quick dry brushing. Okay, so this building right here is mostly in the light, and most of this building are in the light. So let's see if I can just okay, so like the roof here is really not clear in the photos in the street view here, but whatever, it's not really even that important. So here we have some roof here, and then I'll have that connect to this side of the building. Okay, now a little bit lighter. This is way too dark. Okay, let's have a nice straight stroke down here. Okay, and I'll just connect that to this tower on the back. Okay, a little bit details on the top. Let me zoom it in so you can see a little bit better. Okay, so a little bit of things here, and sorry, I keep hitting the mic stand. Sorry about that. Okay, now grab some orange and add some of the orange in here. We want some nice warm bounce line in here. And down here, I'm just gonna lose it to the side. We can connect this to here because I got some of this kind of brick wall going on, and it's a good place to do some dry brushing as well. So just the side of your brush and create some texture there. Okay. $10:05. Let's see if I can finish it rather quickly. Window. We have the shadow for the, I don't know what is it called, but the structure, and we got the window here and something down here. Just a really mere suggestions, and with a little bit free of the brush stroke. and we got some of this happen. Okay, let me move the camera stand out of the way a little bit so I don't keep hitting on it. So, okay, this needs to come down here a little bit more. Okay, little dots here. Okay. So I gave a lessons about brushstroke to my online class. So the analogy I like to give is that when you're painting, you're a conductor. You are conducting the music. So whether the note should be strong, should be soft, should be fast, should be slow, you are in control, and your brush is the conductor stick, right? I don't know what's it called. I'm just gonna call it conductor stick, and that's you are composing. You're conducting this music, so don't make all the same stroke. Otherwise, the music will sound very boring. Same as the painting. The painting will start to look very boring, and you don't want that. Right? Yeah, so I try not to make it too dark. If it's not dark enough, I can go with a value. So thank you, Bruno, again. Okay. Again, if anybody else have any question or thoughts, feel free to share with me. I mean, when I'm focusing painting, I might look away a little bit, but I will check back if anybody's sending me message and stuff. Okay. Well, that's that for the building. Let's look at this. Okay, I like it. I think it looks decent. I don't know. I feel weird to say, oh, my painting looks good. I'll just say decent. So, but I enjoyed it quite a bit. So I hope you enjoy this as well. Okay. Yeah, go ahead. I don't mind Zbukvic question. I think, yeah, when people want to know more about him, I think that's always nice. And I also don't mind when people relate me with him. I actually take it as a compliment. Yeah. No, I think I mentioned it sometime before. I actually got hate email from people. It's like, oh, your painting you're just trying to copy Joseph's work, but your work looked nothing like him. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, well, I'm sure he's a master. I'm still learning. And I think to break away from his style is something will come over time. And I think I actually asked him this question. I asked him that, how do we find our own style, like in painting? Because, well, I'm I want to paint like you, but eventually I want to have my own style, right? And he actually answered me this. He said that you are painting with your own style. You just don't know it yet. And I think that's a very kind of encouraging thought, and I think it's a very interesting way to look at it, because if you think about it, like even I'm trying to copy his work or copy the way he approached the painting. At the end of the day, I'm my own individual, so my sensibility and everything will be very, very different. Now, I reference a lot from his visual language and stuff, but again, at the end of the day, my painting is not going to look exactly like him unless I purposefully copy his painting. And when I paint myself and things like that, when I'm doing the painting for myself, from my own subject, I ultimately have to do this, how to interpret the subject in my own way. So I'm just kind of skipping around, giving some highlight while looking at the reference, see if I can just suggests all that detail. I do want to leave the highlights on the rim here. Okay. Okay, need this to be just a little bit more intense here. Bam, 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 bam. He often runs the second very wet wash down from the front of the building. Very easy to lose control. Second wash in the front of the building. Well, I think he does that after the first wash is dry. So after the previous wash is dry. Now if he still does little things like that, I think that's just wet on wet work, which I did that. I did have that. So I think especially if you watch the DVD, that's a problem of DVD. They cut off stuff and they fast forward some stuff. And that's why when I try to study, I watch his DVD and stuff as well. And I was like, well, I tried to do everything he did. It's just like look nothing like it. It ended up like a disaster. And then I went to his workshop. I realized that they cut off a lot of stuff that's actually very, very important. So, like, I'm not trying to say that they're trying to lie to you or anything, but like a lot of stuff when they editing the video, they might not understand the process themselves. So sometimes I rather than just fast forward, at least I can see the progress instead of just cutting to another shot and all of a sudden the painting looks different. So, okay, I'm gonna... Yeah, I agree. I think comparing with yourself is always the most important thing. Like you're your own rival, your own enemy, and you're always trying to outdone yourself instead of trying to compare to other artists. And at the same time, I think that's one of the reasons I don't... Yeah, okay, I don't know if I should say this. Well, I'm just gonna say anyway. So, I am not a big fan of art show and stuff, and especially when there's like prize and contest and jury. And it's not that I don't like them, and I enter a few times and then I try a few times, I fail a few times and stuff, but then I realized that I am not painting for the jury, right? So I don't want a jury to judge my painting based on his or her preference, and I'm painting for myself and the people who I care about and the people who like my work, right? I'm painting for them, not the jury. So I don't want to discourage anybody to go to the art show. I think still very important part of the art world, with some good competition and things like that. But personally, it's just not for me. It gives me more stress than it gives me more stress than motivation. So this motivates me, like painting for you guys and talk to you guys. That motivates me more. So yeah. Okay. Let's see how we're doing here. Okay. Give me a minute because I need to change something. Okay, I saw the camera is overexposed because I see this, but then I remember this is completely white. So I'm actually copying the overexpose effect from the camera, from the image. Okay. Okay. We're almost done here. I'm gonna paint some stuff here, but they are mostly going to be just visual language and stuff. So some suggestion of the stuff. So let me see. So a bunch of gangways that I'm going to paint those in. Okay, some like bunch of sticks here. Okay. Very delicately. Okay, those are very delicate detail, and you don't want to just repeating the mark when you do something like that. And okay, so a few things here. I'm gonna give a few stick here as well. Few one in the background, and I think that looks good. Look Venice enough. And now I'll add a little bit of red, and I do think I'll paint that kind of stripe looking sticks. So boom. Oops, like very loosely though, so something like that. Okay. Now actually add a little bit of water to just mess it up a little bit. Okay, that's good. All right. So what's left is this tube boat here, where I'm gonna move on to that, and then the reflection, and it will pull everything together. Okay, now this tube boat will probably give me some headache because I'm making this up. So, and boat is not something I paint a lot, but that's, we'll see how it works. So that, and I'm gonna keep it very, very simple. So 2 3 stroke, we have a body of the boat, and there's some structures on the top. Here we have one boat. Okay, give it just a little bit more shadow here. Okay, and I think the other one here, I'm gonna make it like a solid color here. Okay, pick up some of the paint on the bottom, and then I will maybe like a red, like a dark red. Alizarin crimson. I'll do like a stripe here. Okay. They can be connected, that's fine. And get a little bit dirty water here. It's kind of half dry, so I'm kind of risking it. But I think it can be dry enough. So here we go. We have 2 bows here. Very, very loose. But I think that will do the trick. We just want something to kind of offset everything that's going on here. Okay. So a little bit more. All right, we're almost finished. How exciting. Okay, now what's lacking is the reflection. Once the reflection in, the water will just look, it'll just bring everything together. So it's very important not to lose hope until you finish everything, okay? Because you never know what's gonna happen. So I'll mix a nice cobalt turquoise with blue, ultramarine blue, cobalt blue. Okay, and I'll have a little bit of burn umber to make that nice deep turquoise color. Let's do a test here. Okay, I think that's good, but I think we need a little bit more, so I'm just gonna mix some more color. Add a little bit of water. Okay, so let's do this. Let's zoom it in a little bit so you guys can see. I think it's safe to make the image a little bit smaller. So just very fresh and quick, just do this. Oh wow, that's pretty dark. Okay, I think I can add a little bit more water. That's fine. Okay, so just very delicately get some reflection here. Okay, but very important to connect that to the side as well. Okay. Okay, skip around a little bit. Okay, remember, you are a conductor. Imagine the water is moving, the water is flowing. Don't start to repeat the mark, okay? This is water we're talking about. It's kind of unpredictable. It's free, so. Okay, so a little bit of a reflection here. Have to done it in one go, okay? You don't want to dab it too much and wait till it dry and go back to it, okay? That's not going to look good. Okay, so a little bit of separations here, and I think that looks good. We have a little bit of that on the side as well. Okay. Couple bigger one, a little bit smaller one here. Okay, so we got some reflection here as well, so a few sort of dots here and there suggest that. At the same time, we can kind of extend that down here a little bit. Fill in some of those white areas, so it feels like it's actually they are sitting on something. Okay. Okay, and onto the side here. And okay, so We got some reflection here as well. Now that's not in the photo, so we will just have to make it up. So, but the concept is the same, okay? Since these two are pretty much connected. Okay, a little bit warmer. And as it comes into the foreground, you start to break it up a little bit more. Okay, so it kind of just going like that. Okay, I think there's a little bit too much white spot here. Let's fix that. Okay, so oh, thank you, Gary. Now, I think it's important that we try to start to bring out some of the ripples and stuff, and have them starting to touch each other a little bit more. Okay, so bigger ripples in the front, and as it goes into the distance, goes a little bit smaller and shorter. But I think up to that point, I think we are good. We don't need ripples all over the place. I think a few areas we can have a tiny bit of that, but that would be good. Okay, no dabbing, please. Okay, just a few areas. Okay, let me take a look at this. Okay, let me step back and take a look at this. Is there anything that is missing? Is there anything else I can add? Well, happy Thanksgiving. Well, Canadian have their Thanksgiving in October, so well, we can all be thankful for something. So, all right. So this, just gonna add a little bit more, sort of little details. Some dry brush mark. I think just to make this a little bit more interesting here and there. Okay, I want a little bit more sort of shadow going on here under these roofs. So I'm gonna add some paint and add some water so they kind of drop down like that. Just a very quick way to give it a little bit more depth here. I don't know, a little bit splatter. Feels a little bit too clean to me. little bit darker down here. It feels like there's something there. A little bit cool color here. I'm just balancing the painting right now. Just a little few details, but not to do too much of them. Okay, some of it I think will be great. And mostly I'm waiting for this to dry because I want to do a glaze on that. The water feels a little bit too weak right now. And let's give it some bird flying. Thank you, Raymond. You too. Okay, so a little bit of bird flying here. Okay, I really don't like that, so I'm gonna. Oops. Too wet. I'm gonna add a little bit of bird here to see if I can kind of break that up a little bit. Another one here. It's very tiny. You can probably barely see it, but it will act like breaking up the sky a little bit. Okay, I don't want to do too much because I do like that cloud quite a bit. Give it nice some sense of lighting here. I do think we want to just break this up just a little bit, so I'm trying to see if I can just give it a little bit of tone here. Okay, soften that with water. Might not be the best idea. Okay, so I'm gonna blow this dry just to speed things up a little bit. Nice and dry, we can do our glazing now. So let me take my huge brush, my number 18 squirrel brush, and let's give it a tint. Now I want to keep it relatively warm. It is a kind of greenish warm water. And what I'm going to do is, okay, see that? Nice big brush, and just go over it like that. Okay, go over it very lightly, okay? Don't start to scrape off the paint underneath. Okay, so nice and deep water here. And then start to add some water as we go up. A little bit more water. And pretty much just clean water here. Okay. Try not to leave some weird hard edge, so this will be good. Okay, let's turn it around a little bit so the paint can kind of flow naturally like that. Okay, let the gravity do the work. And I think this is pretty much it. We're pretty much done. Hi Maina. You missed it, but you can watch the replay. Okay, so this is the finished painting. I don't know if I'm gonna do any touch-up work here, but I think this is mostly it. Alright, hope you guys like it, and thank you for tuning in so much. And yep. Yes, 10:30 now, so an hour and a half. My typical painting. Alright. Have a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving weekend wherever you are, even if you're not in the US. It's totally fine. Hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend, and I will see you guys again soon. If you're in my class, I will see you next week. If you are not, I will see you in the next public live stream. Okay, if you're new here, subscribe and stuff, and I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Bye.